How do you respond when your entire world just changed? I'm serious. Think about it for a moment. Weeks ago, you weren't even thinking about social distancing or practicing isolation. Now, how do we network? How do we grow our business? How do we stay connected? Furthermore, how can we be of service during this time? Join our host, Tony Grebmeier, and today's guests as they share their best practices and insights to help you navigate the waters ahead. Welcome to Networking Remote.
Welcome to episode number 9 of Networking Remote 2020. It's a discussion of business, connection, and community. My name is Tony Grebmeier, and I'm excited you're here today. Now, we want you to participate in the conversation. To do so, visit StreamYard.com/Facebook. Give them permission. Come right back into the conversation. You can then ask any question you'd like today to one of our guests, and we'll put that question up for everybody to see. So the business environment is changing every single day. Today, we're talking to business leaders about how their businesses are staying strong, how are they adapting, and how are they preparing for more change. And I'm happy to introduce today's panel, Josh Valencia from Organifi, Rome Zaw, co-founder of Hero Academy, and so much more. Stick around. He's got a lot to share today. Tommy Joyner. He created Content Pros, sold it, exited, and now is a business coach and a consultant. Please welcome today our guest to Networking Remote. This is episode number 9. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good. Buenos dias, Tony.
Hola.
Everybody, before this show went live, I was lost literally in translation. They're going to speak 3 different languages, and I'm going to sit here going, see. So first and foremost, the question I'd love to go just get into discussion right now is, personally, how are you doing? And a little bit about maybe your family, because, some 9 weeks ago, everything kind of stopped and everybody, for the first time in my lifetime, all of my friends from around the world were home. They were sheltered in place. They couldn't get on a plane and go anywhere. They were pretty much locked down. And now some people are getting back. Some places are opening back up. But the reality is we've all gone through something. And the quote that's been hitting me the last week or so is Jim Rohn's, the set of the sail, right? The same wind blows on us all, the wind of opportunity, the wind of disaster, but it's kind of the set of the sail. So let's start today with Josh. We'll go to Tommy and we'll go to Rome. Is maybe how have you been setting your sail while going through COVID and this coronavirus?
Awesome. Thanks, Tony. And thanks for having me on. It's great to be with all you fine gentlemen. The COVID stuff, man, what a wild ride. So Tony, you and I got to meet up last year in Italy, which was a fine evening of just whining and dining, pretty much. Good times. And so I've had the privilege of traveling, living the nomad lifestyle for a bit, and that all kind of came to a halt here in March, right before COVID. So as you know, Tony, I was in New Zealand for a few months with the Mrs. Lauren, who you know, and she is amazing. And so everything kind of changed around middle of March. We were coming home anyway. We thought, hey, we'll go back to Boise, hometown. And that didn't really happen. Stayed there for a few days. We're currently in Arkansas, just kind of waiting out the chaos that is COVID. And it's been an interesting time. As I'm not really much of an introspective person. I push myself to be introspective. I'm very much an extrovert. And I think growing up, I always had a challenge of taking the time to reflect on situations instead of just kind of running with whatever was going on around me. And COVID has really helped me kind of identify like the opportunities for growth in my own life, and specifically building up helpful habits to form who I want to be now, who I want to be in the future. And that's been a huge growth opportunity. COVID has really set this new opportunity to change my environment and adopt new habits that I maybe have had in the past. So maybe not new habits, but repositioning them and making my schedule, my daily routine work for me rather than just kind of letting life take me and direct me wherever it wants to take me.
No, I appreciate it. I think we're going to get into it because one of the things for Rome and Tommy, definitely, we were hanging out chatting and all of a sudden you're in New Zealand one day and then you're coming back and I'm like, are you good? And you're like, yeah, the landscape changed really, really fast. Well, somebody who's in it, in a place that's been hit pretty hard. Tommy is originally from Colorado. That's how we got connected through a mutual friend, Vernon Foster. but now you're over in Barcelona. And let's talk a little bit too about what it's like living abroad, going through something when you have family everywhere.
Yeah, man. First of all, thanks for having me, Tony, and Josh and Rome. It's good to be with you guys too, man. But COVID is it's wild. It's really wild in the sense that I think this is the only time in my lifetime, and probably everyone else's, I would imagine, that every single person on the planet is experiencing the exact same thing at the exact same time. It's literally like not the 7 billion or 8 billion of us that exist that aren't going through this right now, which is really insane. I have had a really interesting experience, like a bunch of mixed emotions with this whole ordeal. Obviously, I'm in Spain, so I'm in one of the hotbeds next to Italy. Actually, ironically enough, Tony, you and I were exchanging messages when you were going to go over to Italy. I think right at the very beginning of March, like the end of the first week of March or something like that. You gave me your dates, and that's like really when everything started to go downhill and really get crazy. From that weekend, I think like March 10th and onwards, the lockdown here got progressively more extreme. It's only starting to lighten up right now. And I've been in my house for the last 2 months, basically not allowed to go outside. The only way I was allowed to go outside was with my dog. And even when I went outside with my dog, I could only go 100 meters outside of my house. So been doing a lot of home workouts, a lot of yoga inside, a lot of running up and down the stairs. But even that, I mean, I've found it much more difficult to maintain a routine inside. And I've had like, good and bad times with that. On the positive side, I really used this as an opportunity to create, I'm a work home entrepreneur, like a lot of us that have the ability to work online and do things and get things done. So yeah, I've used this to kind of move forward with a lot of stuff that I wanted to create. And, with so much downtime, I was able to get a lot done on that front. So in that sense, it's been really good.
No, Tommy, I think there's going to be some really dynamic conversations that have come from our chat today, just about what has been able to be created, right? And I just got a chance the other day. I was pedaling on my Peloton, and I decided to call my buddy Rome, and we've been trying to play hey, find a time to catch up. So he answered. I started chatting. We talked for about 45, 50 minutes. And I realized that I need connection as my human spirit, right? I thrive in connection. And Rome and I have got a chance to really spend a good amount of time over the years getting to know each other. And I wanted to have him on the show because I thought, what a great way to start your day than bring 3 different people from all around, really, who have life experience, not just living in one place, but traveling, seeing the world. And then, I just love this guy's energy. He's like me. I don't even know how he's been able to sit still for 30 seconds. Please welcome my dear friend, Rome Zaw. Rome, let me know what's going down. And where are you sheltering right now? Where are you in place?
I'm not sitting still. I'm
walked around like twice.
I'm like, yeah, I just this is my time in the morning to move. I'm in Las Vegas right now. I moved to Vegas in November, so it just worked itself out. Yeah, I mean, life has definitely been transformed in the last couple of months for me. I moved to Vegas to do an emotional intelligence program, and then when I graduated the emotional intelligence program, I kept doing more courses there, and then I signed on to be a coach. So during this process, Vernon is in my group, and I'm coaching Vernon right now among 40 other people. And when this shit really hit, we had our second weekend and we had to make a decision on whether we're going to do it in person or not. So we did it in person because we were like, fuck it. And it worked out great. Everybody's still alive. It's all good. But what happened was and I'm an immigrant. So sometimes I use but instead of and then and instead of but. And on March 16th, I started to realize that because I'm very equally introverted and extroverted, I can pull my energy from other people and I can also sit in silence for very long periods of time because I've been practicing mostly. And one of the things that stood out to me was people's lack of connection and lack of self-care routine if they don't have the tools outside of themselves available. So on March 16th, I launched a Zoom class in like a Facebook group, teaching like the methodology that I've been working on for the past 25 plus years, through meditation and yoga and jiu-jitsu and other martial arts and dance and strength training, and just like a whole slew, like a buffet, but like taking out the 80-20 of each one that works. And I've been teaching now for almost like 51 days straight, consecutively, every single day. And I didn't know what I was really like trying to do with this. I just wanted to support my communities. And my group grew organically to like 800 people. People are just consistently inviting their friends, and like people are joining every day. We have like 30, 35 people in the class. And I'm going to tie this together with what COVID's doing. But like, it's been such a blessing, because for a really long time, I was waiting to start sharing the gifts that I've been given throughout my life. And I guess the conversation of I'm not good enough, or like what can I offer that's not already offered? And through that process, through just doing it every single day, I started to get a lot of feedback that was unsolicited. And a lot of the feedback that I was getting, because there's meditation, there's breath work, like we're working on diaphragmatic breathing, we're doing shadow work, like in certain elements of it, like there's a lot of like psychological aspects that are being touched. And what I realized is that it's movement therapy. Like there's a community connection aspect, there's a meditation aspect, there's a movement aspect. And I realized I had this really big breakthrough 3 days ago in the midst of a really big like blowout in my life that I was having. And I realized like I got the clarity for what I'm truly doing is movement therapy. And like, that's what I've always been doing. I've been using movement and psychology and meditation and like everything. I've tried everything. Like I lived in Peru for a month in the Amazon. Like I'm always searching. But the reason to search for me was always healing and to be more of myself. And what I realized was that it needs to be hit from multiple angles. Like it can't be just like I go to a therapist or I go to the gym. Like our bodies contain infinite amounts of wisdom and also trauma. And that wisdom can't be unlocked until we literally like integrate the trauma into our existence and accept ourselves as the whole of our being. So through this process, like, dude, like I have people hitting me up and they're like one girl hit me up and she's like, this helped me like love my body again. And I stopped abusing it with like drugs and like in a month of practice, not like 10 years of therapy, not like 44 steps of like just like 130-day practice period. We hit it from multiple angles because like you can talk about it all day, you can visualize it all day, you can hear it all day, or you can move. But what if you do all of it combined in a specific way that unlocks it? Because if we have trauma inside of our mind, inside of our heart, we also have it inside of our body. So there's a lot of psychological studies out there or papers out there that show that like anger is held in the lower back. If you have neck tension and shoulder pain, that's overwhelm and like feeling burdened. Your stomach and intestinal problems, that's fear. And there's tons of it. Like losing your hair, that's like trying to control things. Like there's so many, they call it like body mapping, and like it's crazy. Like abdominal cramps when people have, it's them stopping the process of something. So it's like, it's deeper than just movement. It's like movement therapy, and I'm doubling down on. I mean, I have other companies that like I'm running and stuff, but like this is my purpose here. 100%. Well, finally.
When you talk about, you know, kind of wanting it, you know, kind of like just looking for like, hey, where do I adapt? And I really relate. I really appreciate it. And I think this is going to be a great show for everybody today. And, you know, Rome, one of the reasons why I wanted you on here is because, you know, I've been watching that part of you. You've always been like of service. And if it was in Costa Rica, wherever you were giving back, or in front of a mastermind group, helping people to kind of just do meditation or yoga or whatever, stretching. But I started seeing your parents, like in your video, like your mom doing stretches. And I'm like, what the heck? And then we had a conversation. You're like, yeah, my mom and my dad came, sheltered in place with me here in Vegas. And I like, hey, I just love it. I think now more so than ever, we need to find our connection. We need to get connected. I don't care what you find as your connection. It's better to be connected and plugged in than disconnected and isolating. And that is a big issue that a lot of people have faced. Some of the people even on the front lines. I mean, if you just look in the news, frontline doctors and nurses, they're committing suicide. They're seeing horrific things and don't know how to deal with it. And next thing you know, they're gone. And I want to do something for the world. And that's why I wake up every single day with contribution and connection on my mind. How do I bring connection and contribution to the world? So networking remote is just another extension of that. So here's a question for Josh, who has a lot of hair. So good to know. So
yes, I don't control anything. I let life just run. So that's why I got all my hair still. Romy must be a controller.
So one question, because you do a lot of amazing work with Drew Canoli and the team over at Organifi. What is your business like right now, and maybe how has it shifted or changed?
Yeah, it's great. I think there isn't a single business out there that hasn't been totally re-landscaped with how everything has gone, and we're not an exception. The nice thing is, we've been super fortunate, blessed, grateful, and in some ways, I think you're talking about luck last week or last time you had one of these with Ezra and the guys on Tuesday, I believe it was. But Organifi has grown significantly over the last couple of months when people are now oriented towards thinking more and more critically about their health. They turn to what's out there, and because of that, we've been able to grow significantly. In a couple of months, we get an echo. You guys get an echo? Are now reoriented.
Someone's listening. Hold on.
Okay. Thanks, Tony. So yeah, everything's been evolving in a lot of, I think, in a good way. All of our team, we've been able to keep our jobs and continue to grow and really enjoy every day because we're seeing the impact that we're making on the lives of those who are becoming our customers every day. It's funny. So I'm one of the few people on the team that work remote. There's maybe 10 of us or so. And so my day-to-day really hasn't changed, but now our entire team is remote. And so it's been cool to see everybody kind of get on that same plane. I miss out a little bit on the connection with the team. There's still an incredible camaraderie that I have with Organifi and Drew and Jamel and everybody, all of our leaders. And now even more, everybody's kind of on that same remote plane. It's been nice to have everyone focusing on building and maintaining the relationships amongst the team, even though we're all distant from one another. So that's changed quite a bit on the day-to-day side of things. From a marketing standpoint, on the affiliate and partnership side, we've been able to grow significantly because we have products that are well positioned. We've had some incredible partners that have supported us through all of that, and have what I would hope have gotten some really good results from those. But even more so, every single one of our products, we've kind of revisited and say, okay, what's the best way that we can position each of our products, or at least our top sellers, that kind of act as a gateway into the Organifi culture and the Organifi community. What can we do to position each one of those products to reach the right people who are in need of those products and who are ready at this time to buy? And so we've made those pivots with a handful of those: Green Juice, Organifi Gold, even our Complete Protein, and of course our Organifi Immunity. So all products that center around supporting the immune system. So that's helped significantly in both on our ad buying, but primarily with our partners and our email marketing as well. So that's a lot of the main changes so far.
One question that I think I'm going to ask today at different times for each of you: your shelter in place partner. Have you noticed that now, you're confined to a lot of things, right? Yes, you can walk outside and go take a hike, but it's uniquely different when your person that you're around is 24/7.
Yeah,
right?
That's a great question, Tony, because I'm sure everybody's kind of heard it through the grapevine. I think as soon as COVID happened, people were guessing that the divorce rates are going to go up. Divorce lawyers are just going to rake it in because everyone's got to stick with each other. I have experienced it totally different, and I can't remember who I was talking with, but the same thing a week or two ago. So Lauren and I both work remotely. She's on the team at Paleo Valley, and we've been able to, for the last 2 years, travel together and essentially be around each other 24/7. And we've learned, since she's very much an introvert, I'm very much an extrovert, how do we make sure that both of our needs are met on a day-to-day basis so that we can feel fulfilled, and when we go to bed at night, we're not stressed about how the day went or how the next day is going to go. Making sure that both of our needs are met. Even when you're completely different people that receive energy in different ways, there's still a way to find that balance. And so Lauren and I, despite working remote every day together, we've been able to meet the needs of one another. But she makes sure that, Josh, I know that you're struggling. You better go outside and freaking run for 20, 30, 40, however long you need to go, and just do something active so you don't wither away into nothingness. And then another, for me being an extrovert, I can't really go out and find crowds. And like when we were in New Zealand, I would leave on a Thursday night to like a night market that they'd have in Rotorua, and I'd go and like dance with a bunch of strangers for like an hour. It was amazing. Loved it. Can't really do that now. And so now it's finding those digital outlets to be able to connect with people like this. This is incredibly fulfilling. So thank you, every one of you, to being able to participate in this. So I've done like karaoke, for example, with random strangers on a Zoom call, just to have that human connection. And Lauren totally supports that because she knows that I'm in need of that, and I know that she's in need of her downtime, a little way for me to be able to recharge.
No, I appreciate it. I've walked into some of these Zoom rooms, and you're just like, wow, there's a lot of interesting things going on, and I hadn't heard of karaoke, but I think I'm gonna have to try to find it. At least to be a fly on the wall and hear how good or bad the singing is. At least they're doing something, right?
Yeah.
All right, Tommy Joyner, say the same question for you. How has business been, and then like what have you seen change? And you are muted, so let me unmute you.
Yeah, sorry, that was me messing with the audio. But business for me, man. So I mean, over the last year, I've been in a transitional kind of situation since I sold my last business and was like trying to figure out what to do next. Moved into coaching and consulting, and decided to focus my efforts on what I knew best, which was like building, scaling, and selling service-based businesses. I built and sold a content writing subscription service. So as I decided to go all in on that, and COVID hit, I think I've been blessed to be in a realm where a lot of the people that run those type of businesses are having a lot of opportunity right now. And there's a lot of people moving towards thinking about starting something like that if they haven't already. So freelancing and learning to work at home and like creating stuff like this, working online has been like a huge buzzword and kind of cliche over the past like few years, for the last like decade, really. But there's so many people out there outside of our world, and I think we like take for granted that don't do that and that don't live like this and that aren't used to it. I mean, we're still so ahead of the curve in terms of like what the traditional public like sees and acts like on a regular day-to-day basis. So business for me has actually been insanely profitable. Like I've had really good success with my individual consulting clients and then my group coaching program. And I think timing for me has just been really, really good. So that's been great. And it's also been, it's really fulfilling. Like I know all of you guys resonate with this, but specifically Tony and Rome, you guys like mentioned something about, helping others through some of the things that you guys do. And I've really been able to kind of fulfill that ethos, if you will, during this period of time, because I'm there for those folks, and they're having success. So it's been good, man. It's like there's no shortage of opportunities for me in my line of work.
Okay, man, I appreciate that. Rome, I know that a lot has changed in your own life over the last year, shifted different avenues, businesses. I love the fact that you landed in Vegas. I love the fact that you've been able to jump into some deeper work, and you've come out really excelling in a lot of ways. You've already been in it. I call you like my ninja. Like you're the guy that I know you're going to find a way. And that's what I love about you. No matter what, there's no darkness that you can't battle through. So love to know kind of what your business is like now, and maybe some things that you've noticed and how it's changing.
So we actually just had our quarterly meeting yesterday. So we had a quarterly meeting with my supplement company team, and our business has grown 4x in the last 12 weeks. All of our numbers have grown 4x. Some have grown 5, like we took over the email marketing. Well, all right, so I was always like the visionary, so like I didn't really jump into operations, and we had an email team that it was doing like very poor, like it was barely breaking even on how much we were paying them. And at a certain point, it was just like, I think I could do better. And I took it over, and we grew it from like like 4.5 grand a month, which is like great. Like we never used email. We just paid other people to do it because we didn't want to look at it. And in 12 weeks, we took it from 4.5K while paying them 3 grand a month to growing it to $22,500 in 12 weeks with just me writing emails. Like nobody else, like creating all the flows, like really like just mapping it out. And I'm no fucking copywriter. I can copyright, but like I'm not a copywriter. I wouldn't definitely not refer to myself as one. So just realizing like how powerful the focus can be. Like when you focus on a specific goal and you track the right KPIs, how powerful that can be. Because before, like Tommy, like we had a business, we had a pet supplement company, and in May of last year we sold it. And when we sold it, I felt really empty because not because like I love the company so much, like it is what it is, right? Like it's just a fucking company. But I just felt empty because it wasn't what I thought it would be. Like I just like literally like I got paid all this money that dropped into my like bank account, and the day that it dropped into my bank account, everything else was falling apart. So I got what I wanted financially. Like now I can be debt free, and I had like as much money as I needed to live the life that I want. Yet everything just felt empty because it had no purpose. And for the last year, I've just essentially been looking to rediscover my purpose, to really get clarity on it. And this situation has been incredible because my parents are sheltering in place with me. Those are my shelter in place partners. And Ram Dass has a quote, and he says, if you want to see how enlightened you are, go spend Thanksgiving with your family. And 4.5 months, we've been living in the same quarters. And my parents live in Spain, so they came here for like a 2-week vacation, and they wound up staying because my father was sick. And through the movement therapy and through like a lot of other modalities, like he's been training every day. Him and my mom have been practicing every single morning, no matter how much they feel, like how bad they feel. Like it always makes them feel better than where they are. So that, like, I wasn't looking for those like KPIs, but what I started to look like, I was looking like how many people are showing up to my class, how many there, like how many people are in my group. But the KPIs that I started watching was the specific feedback, which ties it all together with copywriting in a way, right? Because copywriters don't really write anything for the most part. They just listen to what people are saying, the best copywriters, and they use their language to reflect what they're offering. So what changed for me is like I'm listening more, not just to other people, also to myself, and also hearing the feedback of what people are saying and accepting it, even though it's not what I thought it would be. So being open to the possibility of what this is more so than this is what this is. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It's not like what I think it is. And it's like, I guess it goes back to like day one of like marketing and business. It's like, it's not what you want, it's what your client wants. And like, it's very easy to forget that. And if you can align them, this is like where I'm at right now. It's like aligning what I want and what my client wants. But it's not, if we always got exactly what we wanted, we would probably not be happy because there's no mystery in it and there's no adventure in it. There's an adventurous aspect of my life right now where I don't know, and I'm accepting not knowing, and and enjoying the mystery and the adventure of it and seeing what it evolves into. Like, so when people ask me, what do you do? Right now it's movement therapy, right? But like 6 months from now, it'll evolve into something else. And I'm open to the evolution. Like, I don't want, like, I've always had trouble being, actually.
That just so you know, that's like one of the hardest things for myself. I'm a human doer.
Yeah.
I've always been a human doer. My sponsor, you know, when I first moved to Colorado, goes, you know, you're just too busy. You're just a human doer. When are you going to be a human being? When are you going to get it still enough so you can understand why you're here and what your purpose is, right?
Yes.
So your energy you're throwing, I get. One of the questions that let's just piggyback. Whoever feels like they want to answer it, go for it. What I really, really want to know is, how are you supporting your community and the communities in which you live? I know, like Tommy, you've got an event that you're preparing for, a virtual summit. You know, Joshua, I know very much that you have a big community with the Organifi world, but you have your own community of friends, musicians, etc. Rome, your movement therapy, over 800 plus, tons of people joining all the time. You know, but how are you supporting your community? And then throw in a component about service. I really want to know about service. And service doesn't mean you have to write a check. Service doesn't mean like any of it. Service is like, how are you being of service? Because somebody's listening right now and they feel stuck. They feel like, you know what? I can't do anything, man. I'm in my head. I'm locked up. There's no place for me. I feel like I can't go on. And there's somebody listening right now. I promise you, they'll watch it in the replay. They'll listen to it on YouTube. They'll find this. And our job as humans is to be of service and to extend light. That's why I'm here. And I know that the three of you and myself, we can extend light today to the world and give people an opportunity to understand how they can make an impact right now. So the question is, how are you supporting your community? Go ahead, Rome.
I'd like to go first, because if I don't, I might explode. So, well, one, like all my classes have been free. Every single class that I've ever run has been free. I've recorded all of them. I've been offering it to the community. I've been supporting the community on the back end with the classes. And now I just signed on with my leadership group to raise like $160-something thousand in the next 6 days for an organization that just opened up 30 days ago that is combining, this is fucking sexy. I think you guys will dig this, because like I dug it and I'm very skeptical of nonprofit organizations because of just the way that they're run like shit for the most part. And this company is fucking cool. So what they do is they have like a 3 or like a multiple stage approach. Like you need like multiple layers. Like life is complex. Like it's not so simple. Like, oh, like I built this thing, now like everybody's gonna come. Like it doesn't really work like that. These people are awesome because they connected with 4 or 5 other nonprofits in the area that already have a vetting system for the most in need and most in danger population. So for example, people that are old, people that have autoimmune disorders, people that are obese, which is 1 out of 2, by the way, almost 1 out of 2 in the United States. We're at 42.6% obesity rate in the United States. I believe 1 out of 6 or 1 out of 5 have an autoimmune disorder that they know about. So all of these people are in danger. Those are some of the top comorbidities. The diabetes rate in the United States is over 100 million people, which is 1 out of 3. The diabetes, overweight, age, top comorbidities for any, like we're talking about this virus, but anything really, you can blow on them and they might die. That's the reality. Like we don't live in a healthy society right now. So these people, this organization, what they did was they reached, because all these, so now on the other end, all these small businesses won't fucking reopen. Why? Because like who has a buffer for multiple months and to keep their like chef staff and their staff like paid? You know what I'm saying? Like small businesses are really suffering. The brick and mortars, they're getting crushed. In 2 or 3 months, you might not see any of them. How many brick and mortars do you know that have buffers? Realistically, like that shit is hard. So what they did was they hooked up with healthy restaurants and they pay them like cost and a little bit extra. So they're getting these like super healthy meals for them for $6. And they have volunteers delivering these meals. So they're keeping these restaurants open and they're keeping their chefs and their staff on staff and getting these meals out to these people and creating a community around it. And they're scaling already to 3 other cities now, and they want to bring it all over the United States. In 30 days, they have fed over 30,000 meals. So we signed on because I was like, that's fucking sexy. Like, that hits me like everywhere where I want to be hit, right? Like, it hits me in the small business stuff. Like, America runs on small businesses, period. Like, that is the fucking core of our country. The big businesses are the ones that are fucking pulling the strings, but the small businesses are the fucking heart of this country. The people, like, all these people, they're in danger. And like, yeah, maybe they lived fucking unhealthy lives, and like, maybe this is what they fucking saw. But the reality is, like, if you're at a poverty level, you can't afford high quality food. So it's a fucking vicious cycle. And like, what
will you share that in the private chat, the URL or whatever we'll put it on the screen, because I'd love to give people awareness around it. I mean, the number one no brainer, right? You mentioned the top 3, and I'm just like, damn, right? It's like it hits you with like a ton of bricks. You're just like realizing, you know, that there are people on the street right now. I was just talking to my friend Clark Bartram in San Diego yesterday, and there's a gentleman who's 60 on the street. And I said, is there something we can do for him? He's been visiting this gentleman for the last several years. I said, there's something we can do. And he's like, yeah, I'm beginning to do it. But the problem is it's so much bigger than just one. It's massive, right?
So they want to scale.
Yeah.
So if you can connect them, and this person is like willing to be the fucking quarterback, they're looking for quarterbacks in cities. Like, this quarterback that I'm talking to right now used to run a lot of the Win stuff. Like real fucking business people, bro. Like, real business motherfuckers. Like, not like some fucking woman off this, like, powerful woman. They're doing it, bro. Like, they're looking for quarterbacks in every city, and they want to scale, because this type of shit is scalable. Because long term, not only are you keeping these people safe and alive, but you're also helping them maintain a healthier weight and a healthier lifestyle. So long term, maybe right now, like, oh, like, this is uncomfortable, but like, eventually, like, these people are going to be healthier, and it'll break the cycle of poverty. When you're healthy, you can think better. When you're healthy, you can do better. When you're healthy, you can be better.
Well, you know, I'm going to throw it because I was talking to a buddy this morning about it. This was in my devotional this morning. It says, one thing that I've noticed is that most of us are convinced, but not committed. We know that exercise is good for us. We are convinced of it, but that doesn't mean we are committed to exercise, right? So we know it, but we're not doing anything about it. My whole thing this morning, which is so great, what you're talking about, is exercise and you know, and getting healthy and doing things. Like, I've been on this transformational challenge to just kind of tool my mind a little bit, because it's very easy to get in a rut and do the same thing over and over. And you know what? The reality is, my butt sits down in a chair from probably 8 o'clock in the morning till 5. I get up maybe a little bit. I put a little thing on my wrist. It alerts me, hey, get up, just walk around for a couple of minutes. At the end of the day, I'm starting to realize I'm walking now 9 to 10 minutes out of my hour, where I was never paying attention to that kind of stuff before. My calories, my macros, I'm paying attention to things that I never was even thinking of before. So I love what you're talking. All right, let's quickly go to Tommy, and then we'll go to Joshua, and then we're going to jump into the final phase, which is really good for you guys, because I really want to be able to talk a little bit about your businesses and then figure out how people can get connected with you. So Tommy?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah, talking about like just the quietness of this period and taking advantage of that. I'm finishing up a 5-day water fast right now. I'm like 2 hours. And that was a really good opportunity to just quiet my mind, because like, we're always consuming so much shit. And that impacts us in so many different ways. And for me in particular, that really starts to impact me emotionally. Some of the stuff that Rome was talking about, like, I really resonate with, especially with regard to like locked trauma in our body. And as I did that, I mean, I've gone through like a couple different fasting periods throughout this period of time, because I just haven't been moving as much. Before this, I was actually training for a marathon, and that got squashed. So I had a lot of pent up energy coming into this, but a lot of it was not necessarily like the type of energy that I like to maintain for like long periods of time. So it kept me super revved up, and it was good and productive for like the projects and the stuff that I'm working on. But in terms of community and like how I've looked at that, you know, I live in Spain, and I'm like relegated to like my actual block, and I'm not from here, so I'm not like, I mean, I've lived here for a while, but I'm not like necessarily part of the like the fabric of the local community in terms of understanding like what nonprofits to engage with, or like how to help out with the people on my block. So like one of the things that I was thinking about is like how can I start like on a micro level. The way that I view these things is, you know, like how can I make myself better and like permeate that and like show light to the world and just be a better version of myself to help everyone that I interact with. And I think we could all like relate to situations where we've done that, and we've seen examples of how like the world around us have shifted, and how we've, you know, inevitably helped other people through just showing up and being our best selves. So that's one thing. And then one of the things that I struggled with after I sold my business, actually, and Rome, another thing that you said resonated with me as well, is like you're doing like the movement training stuff right now, or however you phrase that, and in 6 months you don't know where you'll be. You know, like one of the things that I think people struggle with is like really defining themselves for who they are in the moment, and not really being able to get out of that like pigeonhole that they start to feel like they have to like live up to. For me, for a long period of time, it was like I defined myself as this salesperson, and that got reinforced to me from the outside world when I would apply to jobs, and I didn't want to be just a salesperson anymore. And that was like what people told me I should apply for and do. Turns out that was like a really good skill to learn, and has like benefited me in a lot of ways. But so I turned my attention to just focusing my energy on like what I had done and the journey that I had gone through, and like who I could help through that. And I think I did that a little bit forcibly when I first started to try a little bit of an outbound perspective to try and like profit from consulting and coaching right away. But I slowed down like when COVID happened, and it really allowed me to decide like, okay, how do I like really impact? Like, how can I like Rome growing a group to 800 people organically? Like that type of stuff like really inspires me. Like word of mouth, like telling people that this person is really helping me because of this thing. Like that's the shit that I want to be known for, and that's what I want to do. So I'm about to launch a summit on May 25th, which Tony was actually the anchor speaker for us, which is awesome. It's called the Build, Scale, Sell Summit for online service-based entrepreneurs. And I will have invested like over $10,000 worth of actual money, and more than that in terms of my time, just to put this thing on for free with no expectation of anything to come on the other end of it. You know, of course, we'll see what happens on the other side, but like I really did that at this particular moment in time because I was like, how can I impact like the people that I know that I can help with like my story and the things that I can actually put out there in the world right now. So like that's really the event that I've been focused on, and the way that I've been focused on giving back is like taking a little bit more of like the very Gary Vee style approach, and like, okay, I'm gonna like really, really work my ass off for like 3 months on something that I know is incredibly valuable for people, and put it out there in the world right now because I know they need it. And I've seen so many people like change their lives just by taking that first step to become a freelancer, and then people that have evolved from freelancer to like legitimate service-based business owner, and even have you know, sellable businesses right now. And that's what I can help people with right now. And another thing that Rome said that resonated with me was like, you were talking about Ram Dass, and I've consumed probably every Ram Dass talk that exists. And like one of the things that he talks about is just, you know, life being yoga. And like, I love the examples that he gives about like interacting with his family members, and towards the latter part of his father's life, you know, that he spent a lot of time with his father because that was like the most spiritual thing that he could go through. You know, the lessons aren't on the mountain. They're like back in the city, and they're back next to your dad and step grandma when they're drinking margaritas or whatever. And for me, it was just like, what can I, you know, I really have struggled with identity and purpose as well, but like, what could I do right now? And given my situation and the people that I'm connected to, this is how I can help. So really stepping into that has been like the definition of how I've tried to really like provide value to my community and help the people that I can help. And for me right now, it's more on a digital level than it is on a physical one. And then, you know, also connecting with homies like you guys on Zoom calls like this, just showing love, and then, you know, making sure that I touch base with my family members too. That's really how I've viewed this whole thing.
Thank you. All right, Josh.
Sweet. Dang, I love your examples you both have shared. Rome, like on a super macro level, like being able to affect change at the highest level and then reach thousands of people and eventually, hopefully, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. And Tommy, yours as well, like is kind of this blend of being able to
Millions and millions.
millions of people.
Can you do this for me?
Dare I limit that?
Millions.
And then, like Tommy, everything you said, I totally identify with that, and that's kind of what I want to speak to a little bit. Is take it more on on a micro level, because for me, I've had one experience. I mean, a lot of opportunities to connect with people that I haven't taken enough time to connect with prior to COVID, but one in particular. So my mom and I have a good, not great relationship, I would define it as. And I know that my mom deals with her own past trauma. And with that comes really poor habits in different capacities. And I think that's always, there's always these little like points of struggle that we've had in our relationship. And in recent weeks, we've had this because of COVID, really, we've both made efforts to communicate with one another. And the point of all of this for me is over COVID, and then even prior to COVID, I've been effectively working on my habits and how I want to live my life every day. And because of that, I have something that I can share with somebody who maybe they haven't started that path yet. And my mom is one of those people. And so, I've just had this opportunity to connect with my mom on a daily basis rather than the weeks. It'd be 2 or 3 weeks since I had talked to my mom before, but now we speak on a daily basis, if not text and in a call. And it's specifically to check in and be accountable for reaching goals. And so for me, the way that we can support and build up one another is really taking people along for the ride. Whatever it is that you're working on, you have the ability to help somebody else get to where you're going as well. For me, like when it came to habits and structuring my day the way that I'd want it to serve me, my mom for her, it wasn't really something that she was doing at the time. And so now we talk about it on a daily basis and it helps her. So for everybody who's listening, to some degree or another, you're a high performer in your life, whether it's in business or some kind of personal development habits, building connections. Tony, you're such a great example of making connections with so many people and yet and making it so authentic. We all have the opportunity to do that and help other people along that journey that we're going on by helping people become accountable to their own goals and what they want to achieve. If you're exceptional in some habit, bring other people along for the ride so they can also benefit from your success and benefit from your expertise. And the other thought that I wanted to share has to do, so Jordan Waldo sent a message, and it was actually for Rome. And so I'm going to you should probably respond to it as well, Rome. But I did want to add something because it made me think. Jordan mentioned, how do you live and practice so comfortable in times like this? Did it take daily practice to align your energy and live comfortably in times of uncertainty? So I'll let you handle that, Rome. But it did trigger my a thought that I had that has helped me in times like this to serve like myself. I've had a tough time giving myself permission to find joy every day. Whether you're a business owner or an employee, I think we all kind of suffer through this mentality of like, I got to get things done. I got to get X amount of things done to feel successful or to hit my goals. And I go through that as well. And oftentimes I won't give myself the permission that I need to experience joy every day. And COVID has been an opportunity to really level set and make sure that I'm doing the things that I love to do that really give me fulfillment, even when there's no like direct return in terms of, there's no ROI on me spending an hour playing guitar other than that it brings me joy. And that in and of itself is an immeasurable ROI that allows me to, it brings me fulfillment and allows me to do a better job in all my other roles in life.
Guys, I got to tell you, what you just were talking about, you three, there was so much there, and I think everybody was able to piggyback off of one another. I'm going to grab something from Rome. I'm going to share something from Tommy, and then Josh, and then we'll get into the final phase. So Rome's talking about the mind. It's this powerful place that we all live. And my coach, my mentor, Sean Stevenson, helped me to realize that I searched so hard to get out of my head and into somebody else's heart that I forgot to shift to my own. And by making the shift to my heart, I've been able to operate at a different level. And, watching the whole, kind of transformation of Rome, and for myself, it's been just an incredible journey, gone through hell and back, and been able to, really get into the coaching and giving back. And then watching something that you didn't set out to maximize. Maybe you had the idea or vision of, hey, 10 million or billions of people you want to affect, but change takes place one person at a time. You've all seen the crazy dancer on the side of the hill video, right? It takes one to go be the change. That's why I live by Gandhi's mantra: be the change you wish to see. Don't go change the world, go change yourself and watch what changes around you. So then you go listen to Tommy, and I'm thinking, maybe in 3 months I'll be here, or maybe 6 months I'll be there. But the most important, think of, you have a blank canvas every day you wake up in front of you. Hand you paintbrushes and paint. What would you create? What would be the thing that you would want most? Ties in perfectly with Josh, like pick up the guitar. Like, this is the only time in your life where right now is the most important time of your life. This is it. It's what you didn't do doesn't matter. It's what do you want to do that truly does. Because there's people on their deathbed that don't get another opportunity. 2%, less than 2% of people who go to hospice ever get out. So if you're thinking like, what am I going to do with my rest of my life? I'm like, well, just imagine today was the only day you had. How would you choose to live your life? That's what I get listening to you through this morning, is there's so much in the space that's been created for anybody listening on replay, anybody watching live. Like, you are alive. Like, you have this infectious thing inside of you beating, and it's pumping blood and it's bringing oxygen around your body. Your mind is here to like share with the world your ideas. So put them out. Don't wait. And, test is the greatest word that my buddy Kevin Cohen gave me. He said, test, test, test. Just test, Tony. Just try it. Release it to the world and see what happens. You can make changes along the way, but test, 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 test. Never be done testing. And that's playing your guitar. I'm sure, Josh, if you really just sit right after this and you just take your guitar in your hand and you just rip, and you don't worry about the next 15, 20 minutes of your life, but just get into your heartbeat. The same thing for you, Tommy. Like, now you're doing this virtual summit. You threw in your own cash, your hours. Like, you're creating something for yourself first and foremost. And then Rome's like, hey, movement therapy is awesome. Look at over 800 people have joined, but it started with him. It had to be you first. It's the most important person in your life is you first. So then you can be there for others. So how the wrap of the show goes, it goes like this. Piece of paper, if you have it, write down these 6 words that kind of got thrown around today a little bit. Meditation, the give back. Rome talked about it, and I'll drop the link when Rome's speaking about how you can get involved with what Rome is up to. I love it. A big goal too, well over $100,000. Trauma, like inner trauma. We all have trauma. We've all been through something. I say it all the time. I found my message in my mess. I had to go through the stuff to get to where I'm at today. And I guarantee you, all 3 of you have had to go through something to get to where you're at today. And that's where my message comes from. Community. What are you doing around it? Connection. It's so powerful. It's such a big word. And then the final one is the shift. Pivot people use, but I like the shift, because if you pivot too far, you pick up your feet and you travel, and that's not good. But if you shift just a little bit of your perspective and your focus away from what isn't working to what is working, bam, now you've got a message. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Rome go. You're on the clock for 3 minutes. Imagine you are closing out your event, and this is your closing message. Pick 3 of those words that I used, and then tie in something that you want to get people connected to, and then wrap it up, and we'll pass it to Tommy, and we'll close today with Josh. All right. So Rome, you are on the clock. It's like, feel like the draft. You are on the clock for 3 minutes.
This is the moment. Like, this is the moment. Like, this moment right here is the moment you've been waiting for your whole life. Like, this fucking moment right here is the only moment that you have. Like, all the things that you truly want to do, you don't know what they're going to lead to. Like, you riffing on the guitar, like, you don't know what it'll lead to. Maybe 2 years down the line, it leads to the most incredible opportunity ever. You have no fucking clue. Why not enjoy connecting the dots now? Why not enjoy sitting on the dots now? Don't wait till the end of your life to figure out and look at it and be like, oh, I could have connected the dots. You're climbing up the fucking mountain anyway. Like, whether you're in breakdown or breakthrough, like, you're climbing up that mountain. You are going to be knee deep in shit. No matter what, you're going to smell like shit climbing up that mountain. You're going to look around. There's people that support you. All you have to do is be vulnerable and ask for support. As you're climbing up that mountain, you have 2 fucking choices. because God or the universe already chose for you to climb up this specific mountain that you're climbing on. And it's not going to be easy. If it was easy, it wouldn't be your mountain. And now you're climbing up this mountain. You have two choices. The choices aren't, do I keep climbing up this mountain or do I not keep climbing up this mountain? You have no fucking choice. The choices are, do I frown, bitch, kick and scream and fucking blame everybody else for pushing me up this mountain? Or do I smile and enjoy the views? The problem is everybody gets to the top of the mountain, but nobody out there realizes, well, there's very few people out there that realize, I don't want to generalize, but as you get to the top of the mountain, are you smiling and enjoying the view? Because you're going to be going up this mountain anyway, whether you're kicking and screaming or you're smiling. Why not fucking enjoy the view? Like, that's the choice. You're going to be living this life anyway. It's this moment right here, right now. This is the fucking moment. The cameras are on. There's no more waiting. Like, this is the fucking moment. You either do it now or you do it later, but you're going to have to do it anyway. You're going to have to live anyway, unless you plan on killing yourself, which is also a solution too. But you're going to have to come back and do the same thing anyway. In some way, shape, or form, your soul never dies. It's going to keep coming back and keep trying to get up that mountain. Whether you do it kicking and screaming or you do it smiling, you're going to have to do it anyway, whether in this life or the next. Let your courage, let your love, let your inner peace, let your vulnerability shine through in this life right now. You get to do it right fucking now. Because this is all you have. This is all you have, is this moment. The past, gone. Never even happened. It's a fake memory. That thing that you're comparing your life to right now, fake, not real. And the future that you're imagining, probably not going to be as good as you imagined. All you have is right now. This is as good as it gets. And with that realization, you're on this road and you get to choose where you want to go. You get to choose what mountain you want to fucking climb. You don't get to choose how hard it's going to be, but you do get to choose the mountain you get to climb. And you get to smile while doing it. Because when you get to the top of the mountain, you don't want to reflect and be like, oh man, I was such a bitch during COVID. No, you want to be like, I was the fucking man during COVID. I showed up, or whatever that situation is. You get to own that area of your life. You get to own that courage inside of yourself. Scared? Good. Everybody's scared. Talk about it. Give it a name. Give it a name. You can own it when you give it a name. You don't give it a name, you feel shamed because you're scared, right? That triggers the shame. Boom, you're fucked. You're stuck. Now you're stuck even deeper in shit over here. You got to get out. You got to share. You got to connect. You got to serve. Focus outward. Be courageous. Be courageous. Not just do courageous. Be courageous. Tap into your heart. It's like you were never given more than you can handle. You were given just enough to stretch you to be the greatest you. Own it.
I love it, man. Hey, Rome, thank you for being here today. I wanted to make sure that we push the banner out. This is what Rome is talking about. It's a long URL, so we'll make sure we post this in the thread on Facebook. Feel free to reach out to Rome, get connected, figure out how you can be of service and support if that is what you are called to do today. But Rome, as always, it's an honor to have you here. Tommy, take us home. You got the last close at your virtual summit. It's you. Everybody's looking at you, and it's your 3 minutes. Go.
So unmute myself first. I think it all comes down to taking shots. Like, life is certainly an opportunity, but if you don't take shots, like, you're never gonna know like what was to come next. And those shots that you take, like, have to come from you. So it's a battle of trying to reconcile like your presence with like where you want to be. But the only way you're ever going to get to where you want to be is by taking those shots right now and having the confidence to pursue like whatever it is that you're thinking that you want to pursue. And by action and actually taking a step towards figuring out what you want to pursue, you're going to start to uncover life data. So when you take those shots, you have more data to work with. And when you understand more about yourself, you actually start to understand more about the rest of the world, and you really start to uncover your purpose. So once you start to uncover your purpose by taking those shots, you start to really end up in a place that is unlike anywhere you'll ever be. So to me, it really comes down to those things, and then reflecting on those places and taking moments to still your mind and going through the natural cycles of life, because life is seasons too. Like, we're going through COVID right now, and it's a season, and we're preparing for like whatever comes next. But right now, if you don't take those shots, you're not going to be able to uncover like what the next season is. So I would say that's really the message. Like, to me, it's about taking shots, and it's about living in the moment, but also reconciling that with where you want to be, because otherwise you're stagnant and you're not able to like live in a state of motion, which actually creates and lets you uncover like all that joy that you're really going to experience. So yes, it's important to like find those moments to sit and like dedicate yourself and like really get into flow. But there's a way of doing that, and it's a professional balance between meditation and action that really allows you to uncover that life data and take those shots and reconcile those two time periods.
Thank you so much, Tommy. I know you have a virtual summit coming up. What is the URL, just real quick, that people can register for that?
This thing I'm super excited about. It's called the buildscalesellsummit.com, buildscalesellsummit.com. We gathered up almost 40 service-based entrepreneurs from a variety of disciplines. And it really comprises like everything that I've learned on my journey. Like, I took a shit ton of time curating these talks specifically to fall within each one of those categories and to talk exactly to who I wanted to talk to about a certain thing, and then assembled them really well within like the days while doing those 37 talks over a 10-day period. So buildscalesellsummit.com. It's insane. I'm more proud of that than probably anything I've created in my life, and especially like the amount of value that I've led with and that I've put in it. Plus our site design is really badass. So check it out.
I love it. Thank you so much. All right, Josh, you got to take us home. We got to wrap up our show.
Whew. Well, let's do this thing. Right now, what you were going through, fellow listener, fellow experiencer of Tony's broadcast here, what you're going through right now is the exact same thing that every single one of us is going through in the world of coronavirus. As we're in the middle of COVID, there's a lot more unpredictability. There's a lot more probably confusion and a little bit of unsettling fear and whatnot in a lot of people. And this is why connection right now is all the more important for you and for all of us. Connection can be a catalyst for change in your life. And so as you're listening to this and someone's coming to mind that you haven't spoken with, or that you've been wanting to reach out to, or that they've just been on your mind multiple times throughout this week, I'm sitting here now and thinking of the people that I should have reached out to yesterday or the day before because they were on my mind, and I didn't because I prioritized something else over that. Right now, more than ever, it's crucial for your success and for the success of humanity, I would say, to make that effort to prioritize reaching out to those people. As we've discussed, what Tommy and Rome are doing on a grand scale, building connections with people to support one another in different capacities. Your ability to make those efforts, to making connection a priority in your life, is going to not only fulfill the people that you're reaching out to and giving them so much value and being able to connect with you, but you're going to get so much value from that. And I say that connection is a catalyst for change because you don't know what's going to happen after you reach out to that individual, whether it's a business opportunity that arises, whether it's just someone to be able to share whatever you're feeling right now. The great thing about COVID, and if you want to look at everything through the lens of gratitude, COVID is a great equalizer. COVID gives you the opportunity to reach out to somebody and have an immediate opportunity to relate. Hey, COVID, am I right? Like, everybody's going to be able to relate to that and know what you're going through. And every conversation that I've had over the last 6-8 weeks has been almost every single one is starting with, sounds COVID for you, huh? And it gives you an opportunity to, from the start, build a connection. We are all in this together. We are all going through this together. And so what I would invite you to do is, whoever's been on your mind, reach out to them, make that connection, because it will be a catalyst for change in your life and in their lives. And ultimately, it's going to support all of us in improving ourselves, whether it be in habits, goals, business, any kind of personal growth. Those kind of connections are what are going to be the catalyst for change in your life and the lives of those you connect with.
Thank you so much, Josh and Tommy and Rome, for being here today and just going on a journey. I know we affected change in the world today. I know we helped somebody. That's what I get up every single day, just affect change in one person's life and let them be. You never know. You never know. But I do know one thing, as our show has come to an end, I was truly honored to have you join us. Our show coming up next time will include Thomas McClendon, Ron Wooten, and then coming back for his second appearance, Darren Veresamy is going to be back on Networking Remote. What we are doing, we are transitioning to finding the best 3 panels we can of guests to come on, and you guys literally lived up to it today. I was really, really excited for you to be here. I hope you got personally a lot out of this. And you know what? If something arises and something comes to your guys' mind, if you're listening or participating in the show in any way, drop us a message and we'll do our best to get back to you as soon as possible. My name is Tony Grebmeier. We got to run, but on behalf of all of them, go make today the absolute best day of your life.
Thanks for listening to the Networking Remote. Remember, you are not alone. Stay connected